After I died, my soul entered the body of a female monkey in the zoo. Every day, other than catching lice, I only ate bananas, which was actually more comfortable than being a rich girl. After all, my biological parents would no longer hate me. There would also be no more real brother telling me to cut my wrists deeper. I was determined to be a monkey. Until the 3 families brought the fake young lady into the zoo. Dad, Mom, brother, look at that monkey, it's so ugly. Does it look like how my sister looked when she died? All 3 of them froze. I yelled twice towards the orangutan area next to me. The powerful orangutan Duna immediately dug out a piece of shit and threw it straight at the fake young lady's face. The fake young lady had her head covered in shit. Amidst everyone's gleeful laughter, the fake young lady Luke Yuyan knew showed a face full of shit, trembling with anger, constantly dry heaving. I laughed out loud, sat patting my belly on the highest rock in Monkey Mountain, not forgetting to give the orangutan a thumbs up. The orangutan, full name is Poop Throwing Duna. True to its name, it likes to throw shit at visitors, and that's because I taught it. I remember when I first became the leader of the female monkeys, the zoo had very few visitors, the income was not enough to cover expenses, the animals ate 1 meal and then went hungry for 3, they were always skinny, it was pitiful. This situation could not last forever, so I took action. First, I used 3 punches to dispel the Monkey King's domineering aura. I focused on hitting its lower body, beating it until it cried, and finally had to give up the position of Monkey King. I became the Monkey King. After that, I let the green parrots fly around the zoo, spreading my idea of making money. Just one sentence, our zoo needs to be lively. Half cultivator, half crazy, and with a few special performances. And so, in just 2 short months, the zoo was revived. Orangutans throwing poop, pandas meditating, white swans feeding fish, northeastern tigers lying with their legs up in the air. Oh,
Yeah.
and there's me, the beautiful Monkey King who loves to wear flower garlands and shake my butt on the top of Monkey Mountain. If I'm happy, I can even dance to Hey DeLeo music. I'm the garden's guardian angel. What's the result? That blind Lu Wanru dared to call me ugly. She had to be given a hard, free flight. Obviously Lu Wanru couldn't stand the free flight. She cried and scolded, so disgusting. That monkey. It was him who instigated it, I saw him just pointing at me. Lu Wanru looked at me with eyes full of hatred, telling her parents and brother to deal with me. Her parents and brother tried to comfort her, but she cried even harder, saying that she had been bullied by her sister before, but now even the monkey was bullying her. Hearing this, her parents' and brother's expressions stiffened, both complicated and calm. The visitors couldn't stand it anymore, so they scolded Lu Wanru, "What kind of rich kid is this? Duna the orangutan just likes to throw things. Don't you know how to carry an umbrella?" Ever since Duna the orangutan became famous, visitors kept coming, almost everyone carried an umbrella to play with it. As soon as it made a move, the visitors cheered happily. "What does it have to do with you guys? I didn't scold Duna. I scolded that stinking monkey, I found it annoying." Lu Wanru picked up a rock and threw it at me. Unfortunately, she was weak, so the rock fell into the ditch. Duna saw the opportunity, so she threw another piece of shit, smearing Lu Wanru's face again. Of course, this time she was gentler, afraid that it would hurt Lu Wanru, so she specially used the diluted kind. Lu Wanru was completely stunned, vomiting bile. My mother was so heartbroken that she asked the manager who had just arrived, "This orangutan is too uncultured. How did you teach it?" "I'm sorry, Duna hasn't thrown shit in a long time, I don't know why today." The manager kept apologizing. Lu Wanru pointed at me while vomiting, "It was her who instigated it, damn it. Damn it monkey, skin it." Hearing this, the visitors were furious, scolding Lu Wanru for being cruel and crazy. My parents and brother looked at each other, didn't say anything, and helped Lu Wanru leave. As for me, I saw a green progress bar suddenly appear above their heads, with the words, regret level. My father's regret level was 20%. My mother's was 30%. My brother's was 10%. I twitched the corner of my mouth. Damn system, get out of here. When I returned to the Lu family at the age of 15, I linked up with the system. It was called affection level system. As long as my parents' and brother's affection level for me reached 100%, I could truly integrate into this family, truly touch the family affection that I had longed for so long. But for 10 years, their feelings for me still did not reach 100%. When I got cancer, they all agreed that I was playing tricks, because my personal doctor concluded that I was very healthy. At that time, my brother's feelings for me dropped to 0%. My parents' feelings also dropped below 10%. I knew everything was over, and I was completely exhausted. I no longer expected the so-called family affection, I just wanted to leave this world. So, before the cancer cells spread, I killed myself. By cutting my wrist. I cut it 3 times. The first 2 times, my parents told me to go out and die, not to die in the house. My brother mocked me, "Don't you know I'm a surgeon? You cut so shallowly, how can you die?" I thought it was right. So the 3rd time, I deliberately used the right method, soaked my whole body in the bathtub, and cut deeply and decisively, cutting off my lifeline. Finally, I died. The system collapsed immediately, but it preserved my soul. I drifted to the zoo near my house, coincidentally met a dead female monkey in a zoo. I immediately entered its body. After that, I started a grand zoo reform to make money. I built a large empire so that I could peacefully be a beautiful monkey king. As a result, the long-lost system started to act up again. What is this level of regret? I called out to the system. Sure enough, it appeared and immediately apologized. "Sorry, master, I didn't expect you to turn into a monkey, my CPU burned out, I just fixed it now." Don't talk nonsense, what is this level of regret on their heads? I glanced, crossed my legs and asked. It's very simple, the master's family is regretful. Deep down, they still care about you. To put it bluntly, after you died, they started to love you. I spat. Don't play these tricks, I just want to peacefully be a monkey. I strongly objected. The system explained very reasonably, "Master, if your family's level of regret reaches 100%, I can revive you. Not only will you be resurrected, but you will also be able to return to your family and enjoy this precious love." Ugh. Are you making me sick? I firmly refused. No, go away and turn off the computer, don't bother me like a monkey. Host, don't you want to be pampered by mom? Don't you want to cause trouble for dad? Don't you want to have your head patted by big brother? The system continued to coax. I raised my eyebrows. Tell me more, I like to hear it. Host, when you play the piano, mom will applaud. When you achieve something, dad will nod in satisfaction. When you cry, big brother will be heartbroken until his eyes turn red. Don't you want those things? I opened my mouth and threw up. Oh, it felt much more comfortable. I wiped the corner of my mouth, scratched my butt. You can go now. The system was silent. Seeing that I was about to go to sleep, it hurriedly said, "Master, as long as your family's regret level reaches 100%, this system will revive you, and reward you with another billion yuan." I paused. Really? Really, you can be reborn, becoming someone loved by everyone. No, I mean, is there really a billion? Why didn't you say so earlier? If I had a billion, the animals here would eat themselves to the point of being pigs. I decided to go ahead. But the problem was, I was just a monkey. A monkey locked in a monkey mountain, unable to go out. How could my parents and brother reach 100% regret? They didn't even know that it was Lu Wanru who pushed me into a corner. If Lu Wanru hadn't bribed my personal doctor and falsified my examination report, then the fact that I had cancer wouldn't have been hidden. Obviously, if I wanted my family to regret, the biggest obstacle was Lu Wanru. At the very least, I had to let them know that Lu Wanru had killed me. How should I do it? While I was thinking, I suddenly saw a woman walking over from afar, holding a few fresh mangosteens in her hands. This was delicious. But that woman was not delicious, she was my mother. She walked to the iron cage closest to the monkey mountain, staring at me without blinking. Actually, she had been looking at me since the day. If it wasn't because Luke Yuyan needed to go to the toilet urgently, my mother would have continued to look at me. I landed in front of her, across the cage, feeling very quiet. She held out the mangosteen, smiling and greeting, "Monkey, your eyes are so beautiful, just like my daughter." Really? Which daughter? I glanced at the number above her head. Her regret level had reached 40%. It was clearly only 30% during the day. Could it be that looking at these eyes should evoke memories? I gnawed on the mangosteen, laughing sarcastically in my heart. "Mom, aren't you the one who hates my eyes the most?" Ever since I returned to the Lu family and entered the aristocratic private school, I've been pursued by several young masters. Everyone complimented my eyes for being beautiful, clear, and sparkling. Back in the countryside, I'd never received such attention. I thought I'd gradually overcome my inferiority complex. But Lu Wanru rumored that I went to the bathroom with a male student and said I was shameless for writing love letters to 5 people at the same time and making appointments with them at a hotel. Those love letters were clearly forged by her. But my parents were extremely angry, especially my mother. My mother was a wise, dignified lady, very sensitive to reputation. That night it rained heavily. My mother made me kneel outside the door, constantly asking why I was so despicable. I cried and sobbed, constantly asserting that I was not despicable, that I was wronged. But my mother did not listen at all. She pointed at my eyes and scolded, "I can tell you are a vixen, you should gouge out your eyes, so as not to embarrass the family." She did not gouge out my eyes. But she also did not let me into the house, forcing me to stand in the rain all night to wash away my despicable body. Because of that, I had a high fever that did not stop. Both physically and mentally I was severely damaged. My eyes were no longer as bright as before. I became shy and timid. In my subconscious, I always thought that my eyes were not good, that I was a vixen, that I was not allowed to look at male students anymore. My school years passed with such caution, and my eyes never lit up again. Now, I have become a monkey, but my mother said my eyes are beautiful. For some reason, the mangosteen in my mouth suddenly became tasteless, so I threw it away, the broken shell flying onto my mother's feet. She looked at me in shock. She had probably never seen a monkey angry enough to throw the food in its hand like that. When my father, brother, and Lu Wanru arrived, my mother was still staring at me in a daze. Lu Wanru had changed her clothes, looking clean and bright. She ran over and put her arm around my mother. "Mom, what are you looking at? The zoo is about to close, let's come again tomorrow." My mother didn't respond, still looking at my figure, muttering, "I just feel, that monkey looks so familiar." Lu Wanru followed her mother's gaze and immediately became angry. "That damn monkey again, Mom, he was the one who directed the orangutan to throw shit at me. By this zoo, I want to skin him." My father frowned when he heard this. "Wanru, girls should be gentle, don't be so fierce all the time. He's just a monkey." "Humph, I hate him. He's exactly like Lu Sui Sui, always bullying me." Lu Wanru immediately burst into tears, her eyes sparkling with cunning. She started acting again. When I was alive, she turned me into a cruel older sister who liked to bully and chase her away. For example, she would intentionally put a knife blade in the piano, play until her hands were bleeding, then run back to tell on me, saying that I put the knife in to harm her. Or she would hire a bunch of thugs to beat her up, then come home and say that I ordered someone to do it, then cry and want to run away from home. Such things made me a devil in my family's eyes. In my family's eyes, I was an evil daughter, beyond redemption. I had already broken down. Why were my parents and brother so stupid? Lu Wanru's scheme was clearly child's play. Why couldn't they see it? Only later did I realize that was the difference between love and not love. If you love, even if you lie, they will believe you. If you don't love, you won't believe it even if the truth is obvious. When I realized this, I was in the final stages of cancer, and I didn't have much time left to live. But fortunately, I was now a monkey, and this realization made me see the light at the end of the tunnel, and I would never be affected by my family again. I coldly glanced at that family. My brother spoke up, "Wanru, the whole family knows that you have suffered, you were bullied by Lu Sui Sui, and our family failed to protect you in time. But Lu Sui Sui is dead anyway, don't be angry anymore." That's right, Lu Sui Sui reaped what she sowed, she brought her own sins upon herself and had to suffer. From now on, you're the only one left, our family will love you very much. My father smiled, hugging Lu Sui Roa into his arms. The corner of Lu Sui Roa's mouth slightly curled up in satisfaction, then she nodded, not making things difficult for this monkey anymore. The whole family left laughing happily, not forgetting to take a souvenir photo in front of Monkey Mountain. I almost felt nauseous. But the phone in Lu Wanru's hand gave me an idea. I can't speak human language, but I can type. If I had a phone, I could do a lot of things. With a phone, I could pass on two important pieces of information to my family. First, under the mattress in my bedroom, I had hidden secret family videos over the past few years. Although they weren't complete, they were enough to prove that Lu Wanru had bullied me. Lu Wanru was very careful. Every time she harmed me, she would delete all the videos from the family's surveillance system, even though my parents never checked. I also accidentally found out and gradually saved some of the videos. Unfortunately, every time I showed them to my parents, they said they were busy and didn't believe me at all. My brother even thought that I had a plan, intentionally framing Lu Wanru. Therefore, the memory card I gave them was always broken. I was desperate and didn't give them the memory card anymore. Second, Lu Wanru colluded with my personal doctor to fake my health check results, concealed my cancer, and finally caused me to commit suicide in despair. This must be told to my family, so they can investigate. Especially my mother. My mother has reached 40% regret, and is the one who regrets the most. The possibility of her going to investigate is very high. I have decided that I need to think of a way to get the phone. Every day, the zoo has countless visitors, and everyone carries a phone. But the problem is, how can I get that phone into my hands? I thought of the green parrot, the professional thief in this zoo. It often robs visitors, so robbing a phone is not difficult at all. So I woke up early to wait for it. It loves to eat fresh bananas, and every morning it flies to our Monkey Mountain area, looking for any bananas to steal. Sure enough, before the sun had even risen, it was already perched on a wooden stake on the Monkey Mountain, looking around, furtively observing. I pulled out a banana from behind my back and shook it in front of its face. The blue-feathered parrot immediately flew over, spinning around a few times in a flattering manner. I whispered in its ear, "Help me get a phone, I'll give you 10 bananas." Hey! The manager will pluck all my feathers. The parrot didn't dare accept this task. 30 bananas, continuously for 7 days. I decided to go big. The parrot gulped, flapped its wings twice, and agreed. In the evening, the blue-feathered parrot appeared. It flew awkwardly, its two legs tightly holding onto a phone. I happily jumped up to catch it. The parrot panted, making gestures. The pattern password is like this, then like this. I've been peeking at it all day. Good job. I happily unlocked the screen. Although my fingers weren't very flexible, the monkey's hands were still usable. The screen lit up, revealing a familiar wallpaper. It was Lu Wanru. I was stunned. This was Lu Wanru's phone. Before I could take a closer look, a loud shout rang out from outside the monkey mountain. My phone was stolen by a parrot. Where's the manager? Get it back for me. She ran to the monkey mountain, and when she saw me holding the phone, she became even more furious. That damn monkey again. He stole my phone. Where's the manager? Come out. The two managers rushed over, heard the story, and then used sticks to chase the monkeys into the monkey mountain. I shivered. This damn parrot, why did it choose such a person? Seeing the two managers approaching, I gritted my teeth and used my phone to text my mother. It's funny, I've remembered my mother's phone number since I was 15. Because my fingers weren't very flexible, I struggled to type a few words. Mom, check under my sister's mattress. I didn't even have time to add a period, because the manager's stick was already close to me. With no other choice, I just pressed the send button and threw the phone to the area next to me. Give it to Duna, tell her to smash it. Duna took the phone, gave a strong punch, and the phone shattered into pieces. The two managers stood there dumbfounded. Lu Wanru was livid with anger. Damn monkey. I'll definitely kill you. I had to fight back. I yelled at the area next to me. Duna was hitting her chest, then raised her hand behind her butt jerked up, and a puddle of shit came out. Immediately afterwards, the poop flew straight down, covering Lu Wanru's face. After cleaning up Lu Wanru, I happily crawled into the cage, sat waiting for my family to search under the mattress and discovered the memory cards that I had kept. As soon as I lay down, my consciousness began to fade, and my soul suddenly flew out. This happened from time to time. After all, I was once a human, my soul could not completely blend with the monkey body. So sometimes I would leave my body. It was fine, that way I could comfortably go to the theater. Not long after, I flew to the familiar villa of the Lu family and saw the whole family having dinner. They discovered the message that my mother had received, their faces filled with confusion. The content of the message was a bit strange. Mom, check under my sister's mattress. This message was sent by Wanru. What's going on? My father put down his chopsticks and called Lu Wanru directly. But unfortunately, the phone was unreachable. My mother stood up and said with a smile, yesterday, Yuyannu didn't have much fun at the zoo, but she went again today. She must be busy. Then why did she tell you to check under Luke Tuesday's mattress? Don't you think it's bad luck? My brother's face was cold as frost, without any change in his emotions. My mother shook her head. Let me go up and see. Let me call the nanny. How could you flip the mattress? My father waved to the housekeeper. In no time, the mattress in the small room on the third floor was flipped over. More than a dozen memory cards were scattered all over the floor, looking like they had been there for quite a while. Memory card? What is this? My father was bewildered, and called Lu Wanru again, but still couldn't get through. My brother stood at the door, sneering. It's Lu Suesu's memory card, you know. She said before that it was storing surveillance videos, recording the scene of Wanru bullying her. I didn't expect there to be so many. I remember, he showed it to me too, but I didn't have time. My father kicked the memory cards lightly, equally indifferent. My mother seemed pensive, signaling the nanny to pick them up and bring them down to the living room to look at. No need, Luke Tuesday always wanted to chase Yuyannu away, at home he definitely intentionally led Yuyannu to bully me, then recorded it to trick us. My brother crossed his arms, his face full of sarcasm. I'm sure Wanru wants us to look at those memory cards to laugh at Lu Sui Sui. My father nodded in agreement, signaling the housekeeper to throw away all the cards. Only my mother hesitated, shaking her head. Just take a look, it won't cost you anything. When the big screen in the living room turned on, the image of Lu Wanru stealthily appeared before everyone's eyes. She was holding a box of blades, secretly stuffing them into the gaps of the piano keys, then gritting her teeth, playing the piano herself. The result was of course that her finger was cut, and blood was flowing non-stop. She ran down crying and told on them, saying that Lu Sui Sui harmed her. Under the light of the screen, my father and brother's expressions gradually changed, their eyebrows furrowing unconsciously. My mother's eyes narrowed, staring at the date on the right corner of the screen. I remember that day was Wanru's birthday. I specially gave her this piano. As a result, Lu Sui Sui was jealous, and stuck a knife blade into the piano. My mother muttered, gradually realizing something. I got mad, slapped Lu Sui Sui's face until it was swollen. At that time, she was still crying and asking why I hit her.
Ha!
Why did I hit her, do you know now? She was just a child who was physically and mentally exhausted. When she got home she just wanted to quietly go to her room to rest, not daring to bother anyone. But she was dragged out, beaten until she was bruised, and had to apologize to Lu Wanru. Why? What is this? Is it a fake video? My father stood up abruptly, staring at the screen. My brother studied it carefully, then shook his head with certainty. It can't be fake, this is a security camera recording. The room fell silent. My mother's palms were already drenched in sweat. She inserted another memory card. The video continued. In the backyard of the villa, Lu Sui Sui was forced to kneel down, kowtowing to Lu Wanru's dog. Who let you touch it? This is my dog, you don't deserve to touch it. Lu Wanru hugged the little dog, cursing Lu Sui Sui, kowtowing 100 times, or else I'll tell your parents to send you back to the countryside. Lu Sui Sui struggled to raise her head, her eyes filled with despair. Sorry, it's just that I really like it. Like what? You coward, now you dare to touch my dog. In the future, there's nothing you won't dare to do? Sorry. At that moment, Lu Sui Sui trembled in fear, not daring to resist. Her head and self-respect were crushed under the dog's feet. Impossible. My father slammed the table, his eyes wide open in shock. My brother quietly took out a cigarette and smoked. My mother's eyes were filled with tears, her lips began to tremble, unable to speak. Then, she shakily inserted another memory card. This time, it was the scene of Lu Sui Sui in the final stages of cancer. Lu Sui Sui was exhausted, returning home from the hospital, asking the nanny to cook a bowl of millet porridge. The millet porridge was very hot. She gently blew on it and slowly sipped it bit by bit. But suddenly a figure rushed over, holding the bowl of porridge and pouring it into Lu Sui Sui's mouth. Lu Sui Sui didn't have time to react. She was burned to the point of screaming in pain. Her already weak body immediately collapsed to the floor, so emaciated that she was unrecognizable. If you want to drink porridge, then drink it properly. What's the point of pretending to be weak? Do you want your parents to come back and pity you? Drink it all for me. Lu Wanru screamed viciously, sat down and continued to force Lu Sui Sui to drink the porridge. Lu Sui Sui panicked and retreated. Sorry. I won't drink anymore. There were many more memory cards, but my mother didn't have enough strength to look at them anymore. She was trembling, her eyes were red with tears rolling down. My father sank into the chair, his head bowed, panting like a wild animal, his eyes still not leaving the screen. My brother held the remaining half of the cigarette tightly in his hand, letting his fingers burn. No one said anything. I floated back to the Monkey Mountain and slept soundly. Because I had just returned home, I felt a little unlucky. So I hurriedly went to take a bath and munched on a few more bananas to dispel the bad luck. As soon as the sun rose, the first group of tourists arrived. A woman walked absent-mindedly towards the Monkey Mountain. I looked over, and it was my mother again. This time she didn't even bring mangosteens. So I didn't pay any attention, just flipped upside down in the swing cage. But she looked up at me and muttered, "Monkey, your eyes are just like my daughter's. What should I do? My daughter has suffered so much, so much." Hot tears rolled down her cheeks, and she sobbed silently. Only then did I realize that the green line above her head had skyrocketed, and her regret value had reached 90%. Only 10% more and I was done. I thought for a moment, then jumped in front of her, and looked at her closely. She sniffled, trying to hold back her tears. "Damn it, what do you think I should do? My sway will never come back. Poor thing, it's all my fault. Why can't I trust him just once?" My mother raised her hand and slapped herself so hard that blood came out from the corner of her mouth. I coldly observed, "This auntie, are you regretting it so much? Then why is the regret value only 90%? Who is the remaining 10% for?" I knew the answer right away. Because my father and brother also came to see me. Both of them looked haggard, obviously not having slept all night. The green line above their heads also skyrocketed. My father reached 80%, and my brother reached 60%. "Damn it, stop crying, this monkey is not sway, why do you keep coming to find him?" My father's eyes were red, his voice hoarse. "Last night I thought about it for a long time. I feel like I should still give Yuyan another chance." My mother trembled, silently crying. My brother continued, "Yuyan is still young, it's hard to avoid making mistakes. She was just afraid that we wouldn't need her anymore, so she did those foolish things. Besides, Luke Tuesday died of cancer, it has nothing to do with Yuyan." My father and brother both looked at my mother, waiting for her to make a decision. My mother sobbed, looked at me, and finally choked up and nodded, "The living must continue to live." No wonder my mother's regret value couldn't reach 100%, because she still left 10% for her love for Lu Wanru. At this moment, Lu Wanru appeared. She ran over cheerfully and asked, "Dad, Mom, brother, why are you all here so early in the morning?" The whole family immediately wiped their tears and smiled. "It's nothing, we didn't play enough last time, so we came here to play around again today." "Oh, let me tell everyone, that damn monkey is really hateful, he snatched my phone and even broke it." Lu Wanru came to settle the score with me. Seeing me standing right in front of her, she picked up a rock and threw it at me. I didn't have time to dodge, and the rock scratched my skin, causing blood to flow out. I wiped the blood, stood there coldly, and looked at them indifferently like a human. The whole family was surprised. My mother looked straight into my eyes, suddenly shivering, tears falling unconsciously. How disgusting! I turned around and left, returning to the top of the Monkey Mountain. I was very angry. So angry that I wanted to hit someone. But the Monkey Mountain had no people, only monkeys. So I waved to Red Butt, the previous leader of the monkeys. The reason I called him Red Butt was because among the monkeys here, he had the reddest butt. Moreover, after being defeated by me, he seemed to have secretly fallen in love with me. Every time we met, his butt would turn red. Red Butt shyly walked over. I patted his butt, he howled, his butt became even redder. Damn, he clearly liked that. I kicked him away and started calculating my next move. Actually, I didn't care whether the other 3 families regretted or loved me. But I cared a billion. Rebirth plus a billion, how can I give up halfway? I have to use my final move. I was killed by Lu Wanru. Now, the whole family's regret value has increased greatly. If they find out that Lu Wanru killed me, it will be a fatal blow. How can I deliver a fatal blow? In the blink of an eye, I saw an unforgettable face among the people holding umbrellas to tease the gorillas, Zhou Yuehua. This is the Lu family's personal doctor, very famous but with extremely corrupt professional ethics. She was the one who discovered that I had cancer, but she hid my condition because she was bribed by Lu Wanru. Beside her was her 6-year-old daughter, cheering innocently while looking at the gorillas. How ridiculous. I immediately looked for Red Monkey who was writhing. Take a few monkeys and open a hole near the orangutan area. It was a hole in the iron fence, the bars were rusty, I had studied it before, that hole could be widened. Once it was widened, the monkeys could go visit the orangutan. But no monkey was stupid enough to visit the orangutan, except me. Your Majesty, are you going to find that gorilla? Although it admires you very much, distance creates beauty. If you get closer, it might not find you beautiful anymore. It turned out that Red Monkey was also a philosopher. I kicked it again, making it cry out in joy, then it immediately ran to open that hole for me. I climbed to the top of the monkey mountain, picked up a banana and threw it towards the small forest to the southeast. The banana fell, and a flock of parrots started cursing, "Fuck you, fuck you, fuck you." They cursed for a long time before the green-feathered parrot appeared. I waved my hand and called out, "Eighth brother, I have a job for you." I won't accept it. The last time I stole a phone, I got slapped by the manager until my brain was concussed. Eighth brother immediately turned around and flew away. I grabbed its leg and pulled it back. From now on, all my bananas belong to you. What does the queen have to say? I pointed at Zhou Yuehua and her little daughter. You came to tease her, lure her to get lost, and separate her from her mother. Remember, just get lost, don't hurt her. I gave the order. Bossier turned pale. Mom, this time the manager will definitely kill me and put me in the stew pot. Don't worry, if anything happens, let me take care of it, just accept your banana. Go. I threw it out, it flapped its wings and flew towards Zhou Yuehua with resentment. It started to get dark, and the tourists gradually left. When there was no one around the monkey mountain, Red Mong panted and turned back to report, Your Majesty, the hole has opened. Okay. I immediately ran to the hole, lowered my head and crawled through. Just past was the gorilla area. The gorillas were preparing to go back to their cages to sleep. When they saw me coming, they all beat their chests and screamed excitedly. Especially the gorilla named Duna, it rolled around and around, its big head rubbing against me. This one almost starved to death, because it was too poor before, there wasn't enough food to share, and it ate a lot so it was often hungry. I threw food to it every day, and it loved me. Duna, throw me out like a piece of shit. I pointed to the big tree outside the fence. I wanted to fly up that tree. Duna looked at me, confused, then turned back to look at her butt. I patted her head. Throw it, can't you? Hearing that, it beat its chest enthusiastically, spun 360 degrees, picked me up, and threw me with all its might. Whoosh, I flew out of the fence, accurately grabbing onto a tree branch. Out! Below my feet was the tourist path. At that moment, Bagu appeared. It came to find me. I jumped a few steps in the air and grabbed it. It was startled and frightened. Fuck you, who is it? Me. I patted its head. Where is that girl? Queen, I thought she was a ghost. Bagu did not disappoint me, he teased Zhou Yuehua's daughter, leading her to the most secret of bamboo forest. The whole zoo was in chaos now, the staff were searching everywhere for Zhou Yuehua's daughter. Zhou Yuehua was so panicked that she was going crazy, sitting on a chair in the wild animal area shaking, not even having the strength to stand up. I hung myself on a tree branch right above her head, hiding in the dark and watching. Ba Gu stood next to me, asking me what I was going to do next. I signaled, and she nodded repeatedly. Then, it stretched out its voice, speaking from the pitch-black tree branch, Zhou Yuehua. I died so miserably, parrots can speak human language. Zhou Yuehua shuddered, tears falling down, looking around in panic. Zhou Yuehua, you killed me, I hate you. If you don't confess, I will eat your daughter, Ba Gu continued to imitate a human voice. Zhou Yuehua screamed in horror, raised her head to look, and saw only a black figure hanging upside down. It was me. She was so scared that she peed her pants, her whole body went limp as she fell to the ground, wetting a large patch of her pants. Miss Lu Sui Sui? No. I'm sorry, forgive me, please don't, she was going crazy. I started to sway, letting out a cold and strange monkey laugh. Kakik. Zhou Yuehua couldn't take it anymore, her eyes rolled back and she fainted. Ba Gu and I were both frozen. Why are you so cowardly? I was about to climb down to check when the staff ran over, happily shouting, Miss Chow, we found your daughter. But Chow Noyet Hoa remained motionless, almost scared to death. I sneaked back to the Monkey Mountain. The plan seemed to be successful, after all, Chow Noyet Hoa had been scared to death. She would definitely think that Luke Tuesday was taking revenge. Now I just had to wait and see when she would confess. If she didn't confess, I wouldn't mind going to her house to find her. At that time I would just have to have a parrot standing by her bed crying, to see if she was scared. I sat there waiting for Chow Noyet Hoa to confess. But I waited for 3 days without any movement. My family also stopped visiting the zoo. While I was thinking about the next step, Luke Yuyan appeared. She arrived as soon as the zoo opened, dressed in gorgeous clothes, accompanied by 2 bodyguards. Unexpectedly, the zoo director also followed her. The group stopped in front of the Monkey Mountain. The director enthusiastically introduced, Miss Lu, this is the most famous monkey mountain in our zoo. The leader monkey is a very special female, rarely seen in 100 years. Really? Lu Wanru smiled awkwardly, how special is it? Can I observe it closely? The director looked embarrassed. Lu Wanru frowned uncomfortably, I sponsored your zoo with 5 million, and I am also the daughter of the Lu Corporation. Can't I see a monkey? Of course, it's just that the monkey is very wild. I'm afraid it will hurt you. The director smiled awkwardly. Don't worry, you have a manager, I have a bodyguard. What are you afraid of? Lu Wanru firmly said, I want to go to the Monkey Mountain. I want to feed the monkeys. The director had no choice but to agree and quickly called the staff to protect Lu Wanru. In no time, Lu Wanru entered the Monkey Mountain. Because she made a fuss, and there were many staff members holding sticks with her, the monkeys panicked and scattered. Many monkeys ran to me to find shelter. I stared at Lu Wanru. What was this little girl planning to do? She walked straight towards me, holding a banana in her hand and threw it, hitting me right on the head. I threw the banana back, hitting her right on the head. But she wasn't angry, instead she laughed, it's really special, it has the same temperament as my sister. It's good that Miss Luke likes it, the director flattered. But Luke Yuyan still looked at me intently, it's a pity my sister is dead. The director didn't dare laugh anymore. My mother has been talking about this monkey lately, it turns out it's because it looks like that brat Lu Sui Sui. Lu Wanru continued speaking, her face looking at me sarcastically, do you understand human language? Come down here and play with me, I'm upset. I scratched my leg, not bothering to reply. Lu Wanru's face darkened. She signaled to the two bodyguards. Two big guys holding monkey sticks rushed over, hitting me hard on the head. It was so sudden. Even I didn't have time to react. The director was stunned, and the employees all looked at each other in confusion. I only felt the world spinning, my head felt heavy, and then I rolled right in front of Lu Wanru's feet. She kicked me. "You're stubborn? Why aren't you stubborn anymore?" My head was aching terribly. I could only open my eyes wide, glaring at her. She narrowed her eyes, her voice full of malice. "You really look a lot like Lu Sui, especially those eyes, they look so hateful." Then she suddenly stomped on my face, madly pressing down. "You animal, if you're like him, you must die. Recently, my whole family has suddenly been avoiding me. Is it because of you? You remind them of Luke Tuesday, right? I must stomp you to death." Lu Wanru was blatantly torturing the monkey, completely disregarding its life. I struggled and let out a piercing scream. "Lu Wanru, you bitch." My scream echoed throughout the monkey mountain and the surrounding areas. Red Mong immediately roared angrily and charged, with a dozen other strong male monkeys following suit, and in the blink of an eye, they had knocked down the bodyguards. Everything happened so suddenly. The crowd had no time to react, and chaos ensued. Hundreds of monkeys rushed in from all over the mountain, crazily attacking the crowd. Bite hard. In the blink of an eye, Lu Wanru was pressed to the ground, and before she could scream, her entire body was covered in scratches. Red Mong was the most furious. It bit her arm hard, causing blood to flow out. She screamed in pain, crawling like a beaten dog, completely losing her previous arrogant appearance. The zoo staff had to do their best to protect her, chasing away the monkeys. At this moment, several gorillas, led by Duna, broke through the hole and rushed into the monkey mountain. Their roars caused a series of roars from the elephant, tiger, and lion areas, one after another. Everyone turned pale and ran away. Even the bodyguards no longer cared about Lu Wanru. The director panicked and carried Lu Wanru on his shoulder, shouting at me, "Monkey King, spare her, or you will be punished." I gritted my teeth, suppressed my anger and shouted. The monkeys immediately fell silent, and the gorillas also stopped chasing. I had to stop, because we were animals. If we killed people, the outcome would only be one. Using our lives to exchange for Lu Wanru's life was not worth it. Lu Wanru, covered in injuries, successfully escaped. The iron door closed, and the animals returned to their places. I sat on the top of the monkey mountain again, calmly wiping away my wounds. Red Mong was still jumping around, not knowing whether he was heartbroken over his dream monkey. Beside him, Duna was screaming angrily, throwing things around, his chest swelling with anger. The blue-feathered parrot also flew over, opening its mouth to curse, "Fuck it. Fuck it." Half a day later, Lu Wanru unexpectedly appeared again. She was wrapped in bandages, mentally exhausted, but her eyes were extremely vicious, standing outside the monkey cage. The director was talking to her, probably begging for something. Lu Wanru pointed straight at me, "I want it dead. Your zoo is crazy, I will call the police, no monkey will live." The director was so worried that he was sweating. "Miss Lu, we don't need your sponsorship anymore, we are willing to compensate, please be gentle." "Fine, but you have to hand that monkey over to me, I will let this matter go." She wanted me specifically. If I fall into her hands, the consequences are predictable. The director was flustered and tremblingly said that he was willing to pay 300,000 in compensation, just asking her to spare me. Lu Wanru became even more vicious. "Spare him? Dream on. I want to skin him, pull out his tendons, and hang him up as a specimen." Lu Wanru completely ignored the person who had come behind her, only concerned with venting her anger. My parents and my brother had already arrived. Their faces were extremely unsightly, and behind them was a group of bodyguards, and the bodyguards were escorting one person. It was Zhou Yuehua. I laughed. Zhou Yuehua had indeed confessed. The fun was about to begin. When Lu Wanru discovered the three of us, she was about to tell on us when my father forcefully grabbed her by the collar. You knew about Sui Sui's cancer a long time ago, right? My father's voice was as heavy as lead, extremely gloomy and hoarse. Lu Wanru couldn't react in time, and asked in a daze, "What?" "I'm asking you, did you know that Sui Sui had cancer a long time ago?" My father roared. Lu Wanru trembled, finally realizing the situation. Looking at my mother and brother's strange expressions, and Zhou Yuehua there, she immediately understood what was going on. Sweat immediately poured down her head, and she angrily pointed at Zhou Yuehua. "Dr. Zhou, what nonsense did you say? You were the one who examined Lu Sui Sui, you were the one who said she didn't have cancer." Zhou Yuehua's face was ashen. "Miss Lu, a person must have a conscience. You were the one who threatened and bribed me to hide Miss Lu Sui Sui's illness." "You're talking nonsense." Lu Wanru's face was pale, her voice mixed with sobs of terror. She looked towards my mother. "Mom, believe me, it's all because of Mrs. Zhou, I don't know anything." Before she could finish, a slap landed heavily on her face. My brother had already taken action. He looked extremely haggard, his face drained of blood, and he just slapped Lu Wanru's face repeatedly. Her face quickly swelled up, turning red, looking like a pig's head. She screamed in pain, "Brother, why did you hit me? It hurts. It hurts. How many times have you slapped Sui Sui over the years? Just in the videos saved on the memory card, you slapped her hundreds of times." My brother's voice was extremely cold, and he continued to slap her a few more times, causing Lu Wanru to fall to the ground, her mouth and face covered in blood. My mother burst into tears. Lu Wanru thought that my mother pitied her, so she quickly crawled over and hugged her legs. "Mom, it hurts so much, I know I was wrong. My sister is dead, I will be filial to Mom and Dad, I am your only daughter." My mother covered her mouth and resolutely kicked her away. She almost lost her voice, but still tried to speak. "Lu Wanru, why are you so cruel? How much have you tortured your sister? You killed your sister and you're still so proud? You have absolutely no remorse, deliberately letting us find out about the memory card, challenging the limits of the whole family. Your parents and brother have endured, but we never expected that you would collude with the doctor to hide your sister's illness." Having said that, my mother also lost control, and slapped Lu Wanru hard. Lu Wanru almost fainted from the pain. But she hoarsely retorted, "What memory card? I don't know anything. You still dare to argue, you were the one who texted us, telling us to flip Sui Sui's mattress. You're so disgusting. You think that without your sister, you can do whatever you want." My mother screamed, her whole body trembling violently. Lu Wanru was both in pain and confused. "No. I didn't text, my phone was taken by that monkey." She suddenly pointed at me. "It was him, he stole my phone, I don't know what he did. Then he threw it to the orangutan and broke it, he was the one who sent the text." Everyone was stunned. This was too absurd. Only my mother was trembling, staggering towards the monkey cage. My mother was shaking so much, she took a few steps and fell down, stood up and continued walking, but fell down again. My father and brother ran to help her, all three of them walked to the front of the iron cage. I didn't move, just sat still on the rock. My mother reached out and called out to me, "Sui Sui, is it you? Is it really you? I'm going crazy, I'm going crazy." I still didn't move. My father and brother looked at me, their faces full of doubt. I didn't care about them, turned around and walked into the cage. My mother suddenly knelt down, crying miserably, "Sui Sui, don't go. Is it you? Can you come here? I want to touch you, just a little. I sneered, fine, let's go and see 100% of their regret. Once again, we faced each other through the iron fence. The distance was only about 2 meters, but it was separated by life and death. My mother tried to reach out, her voice trembling nonstop, sway sway, I knew it was you. I saw the resemblance at first sight. You even texted me, that's great, you still remember me. It's not missing, it's hating. So I shook my head. My mother stiffened, her whole body limp, as if all her strength had been drained. My father and brother were wide-eyed, staring at me in shock. I just shook my head. At that moment, they also went crazy, rushing towards me together. Sway sway, is it really you? Are you still alive? Tell me, what the hell happened? Little sister, come here and hold my hand, let's start over from today, okay? They kept chattering non-stop. I continued to shake my head, even picked my ears, scratched my butt, and opened my mouth to make oh ho, sounds as if mocking. Humans are so ridiculous. Both of them were stunned, sat down on the ground, and stopped moving. The dean stepped forward, the three of you, all the actions of a monkey can be personified, but they don't mean anything, it's just a monkey. It's just a monkey. My father and brother lowered their heads, looking as if they had aged several decades in an instant. Only my mother was still staring at me, refusing to look away. When I walked further away, she continued to cry out, sway sway, it's you, I recognize you, you won't recognize me, right? Sway sway, my child, I was wrong. I was wrong. I didn't turn around, nor did I stop, just like a carefree monkey, I walked into my group of monkeys. Ding! Discovering that my parents' and brother's level of regret has reached its peak, the goal has been accomplished. The dam system suddenly appeared. Before I could react, I fell face down on the ground. When I opened my eyes, I was sitting in a luxury car. The car was driving on the highway, the destination was Suqing. I blinked, looked at my dark skin and rough hands, and suddenly realized I had come back to life. The system didn't lie, it really brought me back to life. Furthermore, I returned to the age of 15, the day I was found by the Liu family. Now I am on my way back to the Liu family. The driver is my brother, and my parents are sitting next to me. I vaguely remember that in my previous life, when I returned home, the atmosphere in the car was very awkward. It was a kind of awkwardness of obviously relatives but not familiar. But it was not my fault. I was just a 15-year-old country girl, not much educated, and no one taught me how to behave. I just sat still, shy and careful. But my parents and brother are rich and highly educated, they should have reassured me, dispelling this awkwardness. However, they did not, it seemed like they were thinking about how to treat me, this biological daughter. And how to arrange for the fake daughter in the house. If I were to live another life, I would definitely not feel awkward anymore. Just as I was about to open my mouth to say a few sarcastic words, my father suddenly grabbed my hand tightly, sway sway, there's a sharp turn ahead, I'm holding you tightly, don't be afraid. Huh? I looked into my father's concerned eyes, feeling like I was in a dream. Looking at my mother, I saw that she was on the phone. Housekeeper Zhao, don't hold a party at home anymore. Immediately go to the biggest restaurant in the city to arrange a party to welcome Sway Sway back, and invite all the famous people. I want to introduce them to my Sway Sway. I remember, in my previous life, just having a simple meal in the villa was considered the end of the party. My parents were not proud of me, for a long time, they always hid me, until I became beautiful and knew how to behave, then they let me go out to meet society a little. Now it's good, my mother wants to directly introduce this country girl to all the important people in the city. Isn't she afraid that I will embarrass her anymore? I opened my mouth, but in the end, I still didn't say anything. My brother who was driving spoke up. Sway Sway, do you like this car? Or do you like sports cars? When we get home, I'll order one for you to drive right away. No, no, you're not old enough, then let me be your driver, take you for a ride. My brother was a car enthusiast. In his previous life he never let me touch his car, because he was afraid of getting it dirty. Now he was willing to be my driver. I didn't say anything, just silently called the damn system. Sure enough, it appeared again, arrogantly saying, "Congratulations to the host for successfully reincarnating. When the host has a personal account, the 10 billion will be transferred immediately." What's wrong with them? I asked. This is a special reward for the host. The host's family has also been reincarnated, but they don't know that the host has been reincarnated. They cherish this opportunity very much and will give the host all their love. So that's how it was. My family had also been reborn, and they had completely come to their senses. But I had no interest at all. I looked at my 3 pairs of eyes filled with love and regret, and a feeling of disgust still rose in my heart. Love was truly a magical thing. The magical thing was that once you stop loving, you really couldn't go back. I smiled and nodded gently, "Thank you for your concern." The car drove towards the familiar villa area. My father personally got out of the car to help me open the door, while my mother hurriedly called the butler. "Is the cleansing party ready?" Sway Sway will take a bath and change clothes and leave immediately. My brother also urged, "Mr. True, help me order a Ferrari, it must be delivered by the end of the month." The butler was bewildered, not understanding what was going on. Immediately after, Lu Wanru appeared. She was still the same as before, her skin was fair and white. She ran towards me with a passionate expression, then fell to the ground, scraping her knees. In her previous life, she had stolen everyone's gazes like that. When she fell, her parents and brother all rushed to her side. I was left in the same place, like a lowly clown standing there foolishly. But now, her parents and brother didn't even spare her a glance, but continued walking towards me to get out of the car. "Sway Sway, be careful, do you need me to carry you?" "Good girl, time is running out, Mom doesn't have time to roll out the red carpet." "But don't worry, on your birthday, Mom will roll out the red carpet all over the villa. You and your mother have done everything, what else is Dad going to do?" The 3 of them burst out laughing. Lu Qiannu was still lying flat on the ground as if she had been knocked out, motionless. As we passed by, my brother kicked her. "Get up, don't you have hands? What kind of dignity is it to lie there? Go back to your room and lie down." My father also yelled at her. My mother didn't say anything, just glanced at Lu Qiannu with a look full of disgust and strangeness. Lu Qiannu was struck by lightning, her soul flew away, she struggled to get up, unable to understand what was happening in this family. I shook my head, Lu Qiannu was done for. Her future was now a dark place, no one would love her anymore. Just like me in my previous life. But she was luckier than me, because I wouldn't fight for any of her love. I didn't bother to fight. After bathing and changing, all the unpleasant feelings from my reincarnation disappeared. My mind became extremely clear. Therefore, I didn't attend that party, but said directly, "Thank you for everyone's concern, but I really don't want to be your daughter anymore, so please allow me to cut off all ties with the family, all relationships." My voice didn't allow any resistance. I was like an emotionless robot. My parents and brother stood there, their eyes filled with deep pain and regret. My mother's eyes were filled with tears, and she asked worriedly, "Sway Sway, have you also come back to life?" I smiled. I nodded vigorously. There was no need to say anything more, everyone understood clearly in their hearts. We ended it all here. As I dragged my luggage and left, only the sound of miserable crying that reached my bones remained behind me. 3 years passed in the blink of an eye. The day I turned 18, I opened a personal account. Actually, I could have made a card long ago, but I couldn't open an online bank until I was 18. The damn system even said that if I didn't open an online bank, it couldn't transfer money. 1 billion was just too much. So, for the past 3 years, it only gave me 100,000 in pocket money every month, making me so poor that I was crazy. I endured this trashy system for 3 years, and finally on my 18th birthday, I received my 1 billion. Without any hesitation, I rushed straight to the zoo and found the familiar young director. "I'll sponsor your zoo with 1 billion, and you must ensure that all the animals eat well and are full, and no one is allowed to suffer." The director was stunned and stammered, 1 billion? "That's right, I also want to be the vice director, is that okay?" Okay, you can be my mother too." So I started to be the director's mother. Of course, I was also the mother of all the animals. At that time, the red butt on the Monkey Mountain was still young, but he already had a bright red butt. Seeing me, he was stunned for a moment, and then his butt became even redder. Sure enough, in this world, there was no need for too many confessions. A little monkey's red butt was better than a long confession of love. As for the orangutan Duna next to me, he was constipated every day, scratching and throwing it everywhere. That was just practice. It was no different from practicing to be an idol. The little green parrot in the forest had also arrived. He was still very young, not even a year old, but he had already started learning how to greet guests. "Hello, hello, hello." He kept calling like that, hoping to be liked by tourists. I patted his head and said, "You shouldn't call like that, learn from me, fuck you, fuck you, fuck you." The little parrot tilted his head, pouting, "Pfft, how uncultured." After that, the zoo became very famous. Tourists flocked to him. The main gate was almost crowded to the point of collapse. I saw familiar figures. My parents and brother had arrived. They stood outside the monkey cage looking at me, while I was feeding milk to an injured baby monkey. I carried the little monkey forward and saw 3 haggard people. My father's hair was white at the temples, his eyes were cloudy, he was clearly middle-aged but looked like an old man. My mother was not much better, her back was hunched, her bones were thin, she coughed whenever she raised her head, her condition was very serious. As for my brother, his hair was messy, his clothes were disheveled, his sharp eyes were now gloomy, losing all their spirit. The mental suffering had turned them into soulless corpses. We looked at each other through the iron mesh again. My mother opened her mouth, but couldn't say anything, she just reached out to me, wanting to touch me. I held out the little monkey. "Thank you for your interest, this little monkey is called Vong Yu Yu." Oh. My mother smiled awkwardly, then started to pet the monkey. My father said hoarsely, Sway, 3 years ago, your parents kicked Lu Wanru out of the house. This house is for you. Can you come back?" I smiled, picked up the little monkey and turned away. I couldn't let the guests touch it for too long. "Little sister, what do I have to do to make you come home?" my brother asked, his voice full of pleading. I stopped, turned around and laughed. "This is my home now. Where else can I go? I'm not going anywhere. I'll stay here. I'll spank little Red's butt, I'll watch the orangutan throw shit, I'll listen to the parrot cry, fuck you." It sounds a bit harsh, but the feelings are deep. I don't tolerate superficial, ungrateful people.
Goodbye.